We just take a second and admire Todoroki's annoyed face. Like, look at it. He looks so done. Like, he looks like he's been talking to Bakugo too much. Like, look at that. Okay. Focus me, focus. This is a Todoroki X listener, and it is really good, and it has... Oh, it's so good, okay? It's just so good. And the author was so nice. They're like, yeah, you can read it. Just tell me when you post it and all that jazz. And I was like, okay. So I did. Well, I didn't yet because it's not posted yet, but I'm going to tell them when I post it. But make sure to go support them. The link to the fanfiction is in the description below. So if you ever want to just click it and go support the author because you really like their work, then do it. Don't be shy. Just do it. Okay, let's get into this video. It was so refreshing to see the little girl finally behave like, well, a little girl. Eri has almost her whole childhood stolen away from her, and it had been a relief to all of 1A to be able to see her finally begin to behave like a happy kid. After school, when they found themselves having more free time, Eri would occasionally join them for a movie night. Her favorite were Disney movies. The princesses one stood out in particular. It had been an innocent observation at the ending of both Cinderella and Little Mermaid, where the princesses both end the film in white dresses, running off with their princes. It couldn't be a coincidence. Tugging at Elle's t-shirt, the older girl turned from the scene to face the little girl's starry eyes. Why are they all dressed up in white? It's a wedding dress, Elle explained with a light giggle. They just got married. Eri seemed confused, so Elle patiently explained the concept of a wedding to the little girl along with several traditions. The dress, the bouquet, the ring, the vows, throwing rice, and several other mainstream ideas. Eri seemed so fascinated with everything she said, her eyes practically sparkling as she nodded jovially. What she didn't expect that the little girl would continue her little fascination with weddings and share the fantasy with the big three, who were more than glad to help her expand her interest. She definitely didn't expect them to turn the dorm into a wedding chapel. She especially didn't expect Nigeri and Eri to be dressed up with a few freshly picked flowers from the outdoor flower beds, dragging her away to get dressed up. The two girls wrapped her in white sheets in a makeshift dress and an old white curtain for a veil. Then she realized that she was the bride in this pretend wedding, which was embarrassing. But she couldn't disappoint sweet little Eri. Eri escorted her down the aisle, all of 1A sitting on the chairs of the fake aisle watching. The girl made the most adorable flower girl, ripping flowers from her bouquet as Elle eyed her supposed groom, Denki Kaminari. She quirked her brow and looked down at the girl in confusion. Of all the grooms she could have chosen for her, Kaminari was surely the strangest one she could have picked, especially considering her actual boyfriend was sitting in the back row watching them. Although, glaring at them would have been a more accurate term of phrase. Shoto may have seemed to be his usual stoic self, but on the inside, he was fuming in rage watching his girlfriend walk down the aisle to another man. Even if it was for a fake wedding for a little girl, it was unacceptable to even imagine the scenario, much less be forced to watch it. Everyone was having fun laughing at Miro's improvised and phony wedding sermon, and even more laughable half-assed memorized vows. But it all made Shoto's blood boil. If anyone should have a reason why these two should not be wed, Miro announced, speak now or forever hold your peace. Shoto rose up from his chair, ready to object completely under the grounds that Elle was his. But Yaoyorozu quickly grabbed his sleeve and dragged him back down to his seat, claiming he couldn't ruin a little girl's fun. But Shoto failed to see the fun in watching his girlfriend marry someone else. Then I pronounce you husband and wife. Miro closed his textbook he was using in place of a Bible. You may kiss the bride! Under any other circumstances, Kaminari would not have been above using this opportunity to kiss a cute girl like Elle. But he felt an intimidating glare from the back of the room. Turning his gaze slightly, he saw the half-and-half boy silently threatening him. The blonde became paralyzed in fear. Elle stood there bashfully, her classmates laughing at Miro's announcement as he was woefully ignorant to the fact that she had been dating Todoroki for months now. Eri tugged on the sheets of her dress with a quizzical look on her face. "You need a kiss now."
No.
Shoto responded, raising up from his seat, unable to continue this little nightmare to continue for the sake of entertainment. Elle turned to him in surprise. Shoto had never been a particularly jealous boyfriend, but he was absolutely livid. How could someone as perfect as Shoto be jealous of anyone? But there was no mistaking his jealous expression. Kaminari practically ran away to hide safely behind his friends, afraid he would be encased in an ice wall or burnt to a crisp. The rest of the class laughed at Kaminari's apologies, but Shoto ignored them as he picked Elle up like the bride she was dressed as. As the class cheered him on, he continued to ignore them as he exited the classroom, several students throwing rice in their wake. Elle continued to look at her boyfriend's mismatched eyes that were still filled with so much irritation. Wrapping her arms around his neck, she decided to simply enjoy being carried in his arms. It was sort of romantic how he stole her away from her wedding in a fit of passion, even if it was all fake. "What was that all about?" she questioned. Shoto ground his teeth lightly, his grip on her tightening, his gaze still forward as he brought them to his dorm room. "I didn't like someone else think they would get to marry you." Her cheeks heated up. They were still high schoolers, so she didn't see it in her immediate future, but she would be lying if Elle didn't admit she did imagine that she would like to marry Shoto someday when they were older. She would like to think they would be together long enough that marriage would be an option. Little did she know that Shoto had known he wanted to marry her after their first date. From the beginning of their relationship, he knew exactly that that was going to be their endgame. Watching someone else get to live out his fantasy was the closest thing to torture. He was surprised he didn't burn down the dorms. He guessed he did have self-restraint. "You know," she mused, ignoring his previous comment, instead wishing to get rid of his anger so she could see her boyfriend, future husband's, handsome face again. "You just stole me mid-wedding, so you owe me a kiss." Shoto stopped walking the moment she made her sly suggestion. Carefully placing her back on the ground, his hands remained firm on her waist. His expression softened as he watched her beautiful face, imagining her in a real dress someday, a real kiss when she would become all his. But this will do for now. The kiss was gentle at first as he placed his lips against hers. It quickly became passionate, possessive in its intensity. Elle simply threw her arms around him, returning the kiss with the same passion she received. You know, I find myself enjoying reading Todoroki fanfictions. Like, I think they have to be my favorite. They always seem more funny, I guess, but like cute at the same time. They're just so fluffy, you know? I'm just like, oh! So yeah, this was really good. Again, the fanfiction is in the description below if you want to check it out, and I definitely would because the writer has so many good fanfictions. So go check them out. Sorry, that was really loud. But yeah, this was good. This was so good, and I am so tired, so I'm gonna edit this and take a nap. So yeah, have fun, guys. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video.